What is going on, guys? So you guys don't notice, but when I set up for a podcast, it takes me a while. I am about 3 minutes into this setup right now, into this video right now, and we are 3 minutes into it, and I'm just now finally talking to everybody. So it's been quite a week. It's been a busy week. I've been just doing a lot of busy work. So I have a personal training test, like I've been telling you guys about, coming up shortly. This right here. So my sister went away for a weekend, and she knows that I am obsessed with like the human brain, just human intelligence in general. So she picked me up this human piggy bank. We're gonna go with human head penny bank. If you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, it's called the Human Mind. I think if you just type it on Google, the Human Mind piggy bank, it will bring up what I have. So it's like a mold of a brain. It's a human. It's a man, and it sections off the brain into the left and right hemisphere, and then within this hemisphere, it breaks down in sections what part of the brain does what and what function the brain has. In each part of the brain. Each section of the brain is broken down, and within those broken down sections, it tells you what that part of the brain activates and does, and what the purpose of that part of the brain is for the body. So it's just an addition. So it's like accumulating over time a few different pieces of equipment and decorations, for lack of better terms, for the podcast, which is super exciting. It's like my own little corner of my room. It's like a little office, and it's cool. Like so I'm looking out over here to my right. You guys can't see it on video or on audio, obviously. But it's like my bed, and I don't really sleep there. Like if I do sleep at my house, I sleep in the guest room. But so this over here is just basically office equipment. I just throw stuff on top of it, and I put clothing on top of it. This is my closet right here, and the only way you can really tell is you can see like this piece of the doorknob right here, and then this thing right here, the hinge. Other than that, you wouldn't really be able to tell what it is. I'm gonna try to not be on my phone as much. I'm sorry about doing that before, but it's really nice. It's really interesting to kind of have this corner of the bedroom kind of siphoned off, and it's a world that is just mine, and it's you guys enjoy it with me, which is something that I find really fascinating. And it was 4 months ago, it was a complete like dream. It was it wasn't a dream, because the dreams I have are very realistic. I have long-term goals, but the dreams I have, my dreams aren't impossible. They're all very possible. The only thing that sometimes throws me up with my dreams are patience. Sometimes my timing isn't correct. For you guys on audio, I'm drinking coffee. That's what that pause is. My timing is usually off. So like when I started my clothing company, which I still have and is still running, and the link is, if you just type in silencefitness.com, SILENCE fitness, FITNESS.com. We have product up on that page. But so when I started the company, the clothing company, there was I have my laptop up here. For you guys watching, if you're on audio, you can't see it once again. But I just have a list of ideas of some things that I might struggle with every once in a while. Damn it. Where was I going? Oh yeah. So that's a website if you guys want to check any of that stuff out. But with that was like, here's like a quick story. So back in like 2017, I was in college. So I graduated high school 2014, I believe. It was either 2013 or 2014. I want to say it was actually 2013. I have something in my room that would tell. Okay, so we were state champs in 2013 for baseball. That was my junior year. So 2014, I graduated. So that was 5 years ago. So for 5 years, I should have been in college. I spent the first 2 years of that basically bullshitting, switching back and forth majors, And there's a difference between switching back and forth to majors and bullshitting and switching back and forth to majors trying to find a major. The bullshitting one is the one that I was taking at the time, where it was just like I just didn't want to be at school. So if I could just keep on switching my major, I might somehow want to be in school. And like a lot of people don't want to be in school. Like that's a really common thing that people say. But it's not that I didn't want to be in school. School just wasn't relevant to me. And like I didn't find a sense of value in it at the time. So I had no interest of being there. But I didn't have the balls to tell my parents that because I was scared shitless. You know, 2 parents never went to college. I was just scared in my mind to tell them. And anyways, I ended up dropping out. But one of the main reasons I dropped out is because I had like this weird sense of now or never, which is another thing I had yesterday, which I'm going to explain to you guys and girls listening. And people always ask me, it's a common question, how did you start? Now, how did I start? It's a very fascinating question because obviously the answer is I did something. I remember I was taking business law and I had an instructor who I'm retaking 2 of the courses that I dropped out from at Towson. One of those courses is going to be the same instructor because when I dropped out of school, I didn't have a valid reason to drop out and I didn't drop my courses. I just stopped going to school, which is something that if I were to have kids or if anybody was going to ask me, should I drop out of school? I would say you do what you want, but if you are going to drop out of school, drop your classes. Don't just stop going to class because that is not a good situation at all. And that's what I ended up finding myself in. So I just kind of stopped going to school. Didn't know what I was doing. I was really confused. I never had a sense of confidence in myself. I never had a centerpiece of my life that I felt really strong about. There's many things I was decent at, but I didn't feel like I didn't have a sense of who I was. So like the base of my car just had wheels that were spinning backwards, forwards. Nothing was spinning at the same time because inside the car, the engine wasn't well fueled. I wasn't well fueled. I didn't know what gas I needed. Like I didn't know what produced me as a person. So everything else on the car was just running on its own mind, on its own brain, on its own function, on its own energy, on its own wavelength. So I had no idea. I felt so out of control because I didn't feel like I had anything that was I had control over. So flash forward 2 years ago, I figured that out. I started going to therapy. I had seriously long conversations with many individuals, and over a time period, it helped me. And I finally started to come to a point where I felt confident in about something, about who I am. And it's hard for me to explain. I'm not going to try to explain it right now. Maybe later in a different video or a podcast, but I started to feel a purpose, but a reason for like why I am here doing what I'm doing right now. Anyways, during this time period, I had no idea of what I was doing. I hated where I was at school. I liked who I was living with. I had roommates. First time away from the house, first time away from my girlfriend for a while. Didn't want to be at a place that I currently was. The major I was in just wasn't fun for me, business, which is ironic because that's what I'm going back to school for. If I can stay in school forever now, and this is so radical, but then I would do anything to get out of school. Now I never want to get out of school. Like I want to constantly learn everything. And I make it a point when people, say that I've dropped out of school and I started to go back to school. Sometimes they say like he realized the importance of it. And it's not me trying to be like a arrogant asshole, but it's not that I've realized the importance of school. Is I've realized, and this is important, I started to, and I think I finally understand the purpose to keep your brain constantly learning is so much more valuable than I can even explain to you. It's so damn important to keep your brain functioning at all times. Your brain needs to always figure things out. I mean, you look at a child and they learn. I mean, it's always like, this is their learning age. They're learning so much. They grow up so fast at this age. They know nothing. And next thing you know, they know so many things. And they're lying and they're cheating. And it's like they're doing things that they know they're not supposed to do, but they still do it. It's like, well, they don't. It's like their brain doesn't know what's right and wrong, what's wrong and right. What's right to me could be completely wrong to somebody else. Like a kid who constantly gets beaten and then goes to school and beats another kid. To them, the right thing to do is to beat that kid. To me, it's the wrong thing to do. The brain doesn't make that distinction of what's good versus bad. But so at that age, your brain is just firing at so many different things coming at you through all your senses: smell, sight, hearing. Everything is just firing away, and you're learning so much. You're learning how to speak. You're learning how to listen. You're learning that the way of thought is different from your parents. Like, you see it a lot in kids. There's a certain age in a kid. I know it's under 2. I'm not too sure or under 3, around that age. I want to say it's between 2 and 3, where a kid, I mean, you see it a lot like at a park. If you go to a park, and I'll get back to my college point when I figured out it was the right time to drop out. But you see it a lot with a kid who like falls down at the playground, say climbing on the, or going up the slide, and they get up from the slide all excited. They fall over, they hit their head, boom, right on the slide. At this age, the kid feels pain, but the kid doesn't understand that since the pain is there, they're allowed to express an emotion. So they look around, they look for their mother, and if they see their mother like this, like spooked, and for you guys listening, I'm just making a facial expression like I saw a ghost. If you are the baby and you see your mom make that facial expression, you know, oh shit. Like, you start understanding, because you can like see the body position of your mother. You see the way she's reacting. Oh, she's running over towards me. What's going on? Ow, 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 I hurt. I'm going to cry. I'm going to kind of resemble what they're feeling. And it's like a resemblance stage of a kid through the growth. And it's that, that's one of the that's why people say your kid, like at a certain age, they just pick up everything. It's literally because their brain doesn't know anything. They're trying to learn everything. And I don't know what happens, but the way the system is set up right now, especially with school, and that's why I always go back and I hark on school so much. I think that's the phrase, hark. Doesn't sound right. I don't like it. Or it's harp. It might be harp. That's why I harp on school so much, because from such an early age, from like 16, I mean, I know kids who are 15, 16, they know what to do. That was never, they know what they want in life. That was never me. And it still isn't me. Like, that idea to know what you want to do, that singular direction, there's billions of things that you could potentially love. And this single direction is so mind-numbing. It really is. It becomes mind-numbing. Not just in the sense that you get bored, but in a biological, or not a biological, but in a neurological way, where your brain closes off different synapses. It doesn't grow certain parts of your brain. Some parts of your brain get overly active, and some of them get deactivated. Not completely, but very low functionings going on in that brain. Like, if I am an artist my entire life, I may not really be messing around with the mathematics and the science of the world. And it's like, is that good or bad? I don't know. But I do know if my brain has a handle on both of them, it's functioning longer, which I would assume, and some research just show, that over a period of time, that decreases your likelihood of a lot of different things. I mean, everything from like the top dogs, so like Alzheimer's, everything from dementia, from anxiety, depression. If your brain could constantly be learning, it learns how to deal with certain boomerangs, different things thrown at it that I wasn't expecting. It's a muscle. Just like if you work out your bicep, if you're doing bicep curls, over a period of time, if you just keep doing the same motion, it's not going to grow the same way. And if it does grow the same way, it's going to get bigger, but it's going to get lopsided. It's going to look weird. Your triceps going to look, your biceps, your arm's going to look small because your biceps going to look so big, but you're nothing from the backside of your arm. So your brain's the same way. Like, you have to acknowledge that you have to learn everything all the time. And it's not a selfish act. It's a very selfless act. The smarter you are, not even intelligence-wise, but just your ability to have a full functioning brain, gives back to so many people, gives back to society. You're a better contributor for society. You're a better contributor for your family. You get to see your kids more often. I mean, you get to see them more when you're with them and more often. You get to see your grandkids. And obviously there's disasters that happen. You get hit by a car, you fall down, hit your head a certain way. But it's like that is the reason why I got back into school, because I dropped out due to the fact that I did not pick up that yet. I did not understand that. And I think a lot of people will go their entire life not understanding that. And I think that is so damn important to understand. But I also think that a lot of people would never understand that. And then things happen. And when I understood that, it was late. But what I did understand is that there's something in me that was like, hey, you have to do this certain thing, the clothing company, now. Like, it was such a impulsive decision, but a decision that was successful. Like, I started a real clothing company. I mean, everything from, like, you got to understand, I knew nothing about clothing. Like, when people ask me, where did you get this idea from? I literally, in class, so the name came from, I haven't said the story in so long, but I got the idea for Silence Fitness. Obviously, I'm into fitness. I wanted to do like Silence apparel and Silence clothing, but those were taken on my website design, my web design page, and I think the domains were already bought out. Because I bought out Silence Fitness, and I also bought Silence Fit. So I just knew I wanted to have a clothing company, and I was taking the legal class, my business law class. And I get back an exam, and I completely flunked the exam. Like, I completely flunked the exam, and I was so pissed off. And you gotta, when you're failing your exams after exams after exams, like, I took off my bracelets right here on my wrist. So I feel naked right here, but I was playing baseball. I had to take them off. The umpire gets mad all the time. But when you're failing exams, there's a difference between failing after you study and failing when you don't study. If you don't study, you don't get mad, like, that you failed. You get upset that you couldn't pass not studying. So you get mad at yourself, but you don't get mad at yourself in the same sense of, dude, I worked so hard on that. You get mad at yourself like, fuck, dude. It's a completely different anger. And I've experienced both. I've experienced the not studying one the most and still failing. I was just so angry, and everyone's talking about the exams, and I was a very quiet. I had no friends in this class. I literally spoke to nobody, which is very common for me. And that's where the idea came from. I look around. I'm hearing nothing in my head, but I'm seeing a lot of people, and I'm hearing a lot of people talk. But within my head, there's just chaos going on. So I went home, and it was just silent in my head. And I went home, and no idea how to start a clothing company up. So I Googled how to start a clothing company. The first thing is deciding, do you want to be a distributor? So do you want to sell in stores, or do you want to sell just straight e-commerce? And I was like, fuck it, let's do both. Which I have never done. I've never done like sold to stores and then they sell, or I make my money off of selling a quantity to them. They take the risk that they'll sell it. I've never done that. Or the other option is you sell them a certain amount. They give you some money, not enough that you profit, but you do get royalty over time. If you sell a certain amount, you make money. Anyways, and plus all that stuff, I had no idea what that meant either. So I look up how to start it, and so I decided e-commerce was my first option. Well, both of them were, but e-commerce is what I could do at the time, and it was like eating away at me. And I grabbed crackers, peanut butter, and coffee, I think. And the way I used to make coffee in college when I lived with my roommates, because I would get up at like 6 o'clock and I had class at 8, but I would get to school at 6:30, and I would just study or do something till like 8 o'clock. I wasn't reading. I might have just been like doing YouTube videos. I don't know what I was doing. But my roommate at the time, he would talk in his sleep, so I couldn't really sleep that well anyways. And if you listen to this, I love you, man. But you did do some sleeping, some talking in your sleep, which I wasn't mad about. It's just like, it's what happened. But I digress. But like I was saying, so I looked how to make a website. There's a couple of different options. I went with Shopify. I made a website, realized, fuck, I don't have any clothing. Came back home that weekend, talked to my girlfriend. Hey, I'm doing this company. She looks at me like, okay. Like, because before this, she was the one who I used to always say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And we were driving somewhere. I think we were driving, I forget where we were driving, but she basically told me to shut the fuck up. Stop talking about it. You always talk about it, but you don't do anything about it. Do something about it. So she kind of got me into the space where I just did something about it. So I come home and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a logo. We have a little argument about me just being just fucking everywhere. And so then at the end of the argument, time passes and we're outside in her garage. And I'm like, I need a logo. Can you help me with a logo? So she grabs a piece of paper. I'm like, silence. I want a way to represent it keeps going. Like, work hard in silence. Like not a solid arrow. And like an arrow is to move forward, but a solid one means like you always go forward. And like it was like aggressive to me. So like, let's make one that's quieter. So I think I was like, let's just make it dotted. And in the middle, I put SF, which I've been doodling up forever. Like, I mean, not forever, but like for like the 72 hours leading up to when I saw her that weekend in class. And I still have the journal in the back of my book, with just different logos or different, at least like initials. And we came up with this logo, and it's the original logo, and I have it on my sweatshirt. And it's actually this sweatshirt behind me on this picture. It's on that sweatshirt, like on the hoodie. And I was like, I don't have any product. I don't know, how do you find product? And that was the hardest part, trying to find gear to sell. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a designer. I ended up becoming the designer. I didn't have any money, so I ended up just working more hours to make money. I bought 15 shirts from Custom Ink. I got rid of all of them except for a few. And I was like, this is never going to work. I'm getting 15 shirts for like, I don't know how much. It was basically, I would have to sell each shirt for like $30 to make a profit, like $1 or $2 profit, because their business design is if you're buying from Custom Ink, you're not buying to sell. You're buying to give out, like a marketing tactic only, like a club kind of thing or a camp. I was like, damn it, I can't do that. And plus, everyone knows that you're buying from Custom Ink. Well, most people would know, I think, maybe. There's a logo in the back. Unless you just didn't look. Anyway, so I gave out of the 15. I think I gave out 10 of them, and I sold 2 of them. Sorry for the people I sold them to, but I did have to make a little bit of money. But I gave out most of them. And then that was basically my idea to just get the brand out there, the name out there. I got enough. I kept enough to be able to take pictures and market it. And then one thing led to another, and I bought a batch of clothing, $2,000 spent. Guy shut down his factory, lost $2,000. It's like, great, awesome. That was all the money I had. I had no money. I had like negative $200 in my bank accounts, including my savings. And when I started the company, I put every single dollar, like $300 into the company that I had cash. And I had like $200, $300 left in my savings account. And that's what I did. I just kept on doing things I didn't know would work. If they worked, I kept doing them. If they didn't work, I took a step back. I went around the other option. If that option didn't work, took a step back, did the other option. I ended up just finding a manufacturer online, which I'm not going to tell you how to do that because that's the hardest part. And I think if you really care, you're going to get past that part. But I found a few manufacturers I still work with to this day. Anyways, that was why I dropped out of college, because I didn't want to be there. And then I was still going to drop out of college with or without Silence, but Silence just wasn't, it was there. And college just wasn't happening. So I ended up going back to college, though. And I ended up going back to college because I just love learning. Like, I love learning. I love reading. And I just love having knowledge. Like, it makes me feel more confident about myself, which I know is the most important part. It's the ability to have the self-confidence that if you grab anybody out from the population, I want to have the ability and not be closed off or a lack of knowledge, and as long as it's not like a language barrier. Which, by the way, bilingual kids or trilingual, quadlingual, whatever it is, those kids tend to be the smartest kids because their brain is literally functioning in different patterns all the time. That's just a fun fact. But, yeah, so that's where I am now. I'm just like, I want to learn. And I want to be able to talk to everybody. I want to have a conversation with everybody. I want to make everyone feel like what they have to say is fucking important. And I want to have rebuttals to it and not just shake my head. And I want positive rebuttals. I want to be able to agree with them, disagree with them, have a full-on conversation, because that's what I find the most important. Like, when you listen to someone speak, like, that shit is everything. I love listening to older people speak. One of the reasons I like my job so much is because I can sit there and listen to older people talk, and that's just such a beautiful thing. And I can just talk to people. One of the reasons I want to be a trainer, because I love talking to, having conversations with people, and watching somebody take control of their life and change their life is like the most satisfying thing in the world. Like, it really is. It is so satisfying to watch somebody just take control of their own fucking life. You know, and that you helped them a bit, but they did it on their own. But that, I don't know where I was going with at the beginning, but that was one of the reasons why I'm going back to college. And it's interesting. I'm excited, nervous, but just a lot on my plate. It's been a busy week. A lot of stuff's been going on. This past Friday, there was 3 new albums that dropped. There was NF, who I found NF when I was working in the kitchen. I was really pissed off one night, and I started playing his first album, not Mansion, Therapy Session, I think it was. And that song, Therapy Session, was so relative. Like, I related to that album so much, or that song, the whole album. Yeah, I would literally just cry to that album all the time. So NF dropped, Chance the Rapper dropped, which he's been getting a lot of hate on, but I love that album. It's really good. It's not in the sense that it's just straight bars, which he does have a lot of straight bars in it, but he's an artist, man. It's like you're never gonna understand Picasso, but you know he's great. I can't look at Picasso's work and Michelangelo's work, or Michelangelo, but like Picasso, Van Gogh. It's great work, don't get me wrong, but I don't understand why. And I think it's because it's so unique. Like, there's a typical idea, if you see a certain car, everyone will agree that it looks good. And that could be like our biological symmetry that's acting up in there, and we know that it's safe. But like, if you look at Picasso's work, it looks like chaos. But you understand that it's amazing because it's so damn unique. And completely lost that train of thought. Yeah, and that's like what Chance the Rapper's music is. It's just so artistical. It's art. It's an art form. And his album is great. NF was my favorite drop on Friday. I mean, 9 out of 10 for me. Chance the Rapper was like a 7. And then YBN Cordae, which I like a lot because he went to Towson University. He dropped out, I think, 2017. He worked at TGI Fridays. And I don't creep on him, but all that information is public if you want to look it up. But he is a great rapper, and his album was great too. And on top of that, just been a busy week. Just eating like a madman lately. Just having fun, relaxing. People are, girlfriend's going to get ready to go to college soon. She's moving back out, which it sucks, but this time she's hanging out. Her sister's going to the same school she is. So I'm happy about that because then I know that she's going to be happier. So that's been going on, and it's just been a lot. It's been a lot going on. Money has been tight lately, so this podcast setup was expensive. Paying my way through school and paying, just a lot of things. And for my age and what I'm trying to do, I really had to budget, which has been a little stressful for me lately. I had a panic attack. I think last night it was, yesterday. My panic attacks are very, very strange. Phase 1 of my panic attack is, if you are there, you think I'm just being off-putting and rude to you. Then phase 2 is, oh shit, I'm not. The person realizes I'm not. I'm just very embarrassed with what I'm doing. And I talked to my girlfriend about that. And that was just, And then yesterday, I had to go to a funeral. And it was for somebody who isn't directly related to me, but someone I met a few times. I'm not going to say who it was or any information because I don't want to put that out there. But I was there, and I knew the person. I didn't know the person that well. The person suffered from Alzheimer's, and it's been a very emotional week. Anyways, I go to the funeral, and I've never been able to talk at a funeral. I've always wanted to. I've always wanted to say words at a funeral, and I've only ever been at, I think, 2 other funerals. I can't remember the first one, but I know I went to my grandmother's funerals. The one yesterday could have been my second one ever. The one on July 30th could have been my second one ever. But my grandmother's funeral, I was young enough where I didn't understand, what's that word say? Veneration, benevolence, firmness, hope, imitation, wonder, consciousness, love, aberration, concentration, concentrativeness, okay, anyway, sorry. Well, I wasn't like able to talk because I could have if I wanted to, but I didn't know what to say that was valuable. And I go to this funeral yesterday, and I barely knew this person, but I was sitting there and people were giving their last words, and I'm there with the immediate family. Everyone there has had thousands and thousands more hours with the individual who passed away than I have. But I had this sense in my heart that I think Michael before, and I think a lot of people just now, and I think a lot of people are going to really, this what I'm about to say is really going to help you. The Michael before wouldn't have said a word. I wouldn't have said anything. I would have just bit my tongue and not said anything, just moved on and almost acted like it didn't happen. But as I was sitting there listening to people talk, I was like, damn, I can say something. And I did. And the reason why I did is because I was so scared that the next week, the next month, or years would go by from now, decades would go by from now, and I wouldn't have said something, and I would have regretted not saying anything. And that's something that's just like eats away at me. Like, I don't ever want to get to a point where I look back on my life and I point things out where I'm like, fuck, man, why didn't you do this? And if the task was hard, I can understand why I didn't do it. But if the task is easy and the only reason why I didn't do it is because I was scared of possibly being judged by other people, that scares me more than anything else. That's a nightmare I have. So I had to say something, and I did. And I said something, and I ended up crying. This person I didn't know that well, but I ended up crying. And I ended up crying because, A, I'm a very emotional guy, but just an emotional person in general. I ended up crying not because I was so sad that they passed away, because I didn't have a direct understanding of the person. The whole time I knew them, they suffered from Alzheimer's, so they didn't know who I was. But I started crying because I was looking around at everyone there, and I could see how it affected them, and that made me sad. That made not sad, but it made me feel for them, because this person is not going to come back. And, you know, religion says what they want about death, and people say what they want about death, but you almost have to be a psychopath to not, when death happens, if you have a relationship to that person, to really sit there and say, they're dead. That's it. It's like, that's true, but it's not true. So all these people are here for this person. If nobody cared about them dying, nobody would give a fuck. You would call the funeral to come over, pick you up, and nobody would go to the funeral. Is it really that enriched in our tradition, or is there something more there? People care. People care. And that made me sad. Tears of happiness, but also being sad for them. Like, I felt for them. I wanted to, like, hug everybody there. Just let them know that it's okay to be sad. And that made me sad that these people lost somebody who they're never going to be able to see again. I mean, I couldn't imagine if someone I know, this is one of the reasons why I refuse to hold a grudge on anybody. And anybody who's ever done me wrong, I don't have a grudge with anybody. That is something that I cannot possibly do. And I haven't experienced a lot of things in life, but I would hope that I wouldn't hold a grudge. Now, there's some things that are so brutal that I might, but as of right now, I don't. And I could never hold a grudge, because what if that person passes away? It never affected them. It never affected that individual that I held a grudge. It might have, it could have their entire life, but they're gone. Now it only affects me. And now it's only ever going to affect me. I took a gun, put it to my foot. I shot myself in the foot because I refused to ever talk to the other person. I refused to let them know how I felt about what they said to me 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 1 month ago. I held a grudge for so long that it only affects me. It doesn't affect them. And back to the brain, that stress goes to your brain. Your jaws get tighter. You flinch. Everything gets harder. You develop osteoporosis. You develop arthritis. Because you're more tense of a person. Like sometimes when you're falling to sleep at night, I know for me, I'm like, why am I so stressed? Like, what the hell's going on? I literally will just relax. I count to 3, and I didn't realize how tense I was, but sometimes I'm really tense, and then I'm not tense anymore. Then I just fall asleep. And if you hold a grudge, you have that, but times 10, 24 hours a day. 24 hours a day. And that shit literally numbs you. It breaks down your body. Breaks down the structural being you are. Messes up your brain. I mean, stress gives people strokes. Stress gives people a heart attack. Stress can directly do all that because you're restricting blood flow into your brain, and you don't get enough oxygen up there because blood transports oxygen, and you just peel over. You die. You stroke out. Or you turn to vices because you can't deal with the fact that this person has so much goddamn control of you. That's what it is. And that's another thing. You can't. I mean, you're giving somebody power. I mean, when you're holding a grudge on somebody, you're giving them so much power. Like, it's like you don't want them to have power, and you're so upset with them. But the worst thing you can do for a narcissist or a sociopath, I'm not saying the person you're holding a grudge over has one, is to give them power. That's the worst thing you could do. And you are. I mean, you're giving them power at that point because you see them and you get pissed off. They don't even understand. And I didn't want that feeling. I didn't want to hold that regret over me forever. I just couldn't do that. I couldn't do that. I refused to do that. I refused to be that person who, I mean, even if you really do me wrong, I would have to, I sit there, I'm like, it's fine. Let it go. I'm here. They're gone. And everything's good. I'm okay. I'm not going to let the person take control of my being. That's a damn important thing. That's something that I think is really important. But yeah, I spoke, and afterwards I spoke. Everyone was so much closer. I mean, everyone talked to me more, and I felt like I was more accepted into this particular family. And I felt good about myself. I knew I did a good thing. And I knew more than anything that I was never going to regret this in my life. Yeah, so that's the serious part of the podcast. I was so I got my hair cut. I don't know if you guys noticed that at all. Probably not, maybe, I don't know. I don't think people always watching my hair. That would be very selfish for me to think. My phone is in the damn way. Twitter's up 5% today. Shocker. So I was in the barbershop yesterday. When you guys walk into a barbershop, when you're going to a barbershop, are you having any intention at all to sit there and read the magazines there? This is something that I noticed at this barbershop, and then I started noticing everywhere I went. There are always way too many magazines, and it makes me think, like, I'm sitting there. So this time I went to the barbershop, and I've never been the person to ask for a certain barber because I guess I don't have the artistic ability to distinguish between a good haircut and a bad haircut. Because if it was a bad haircut, I would just fix it with gel. But if it was a good haircut, I would still fix it with gel. But I went in there at this barbershop, it's a little family barbershop, And I actually didn't ask for a certain barber. But what I did do this time, I went in there and I walked in and I just went to the barber who cut my hair last time because he did a great job. And I get like a skin fade. And I leave a little bit on top so I can do whatever with it. And I'm just getting there. I'm getting my hair cut. And it's so funny because I don't ever talk when I get my hair cut. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. But I don't know. I feel like girls, since they don't get their hair cut that often, it's more of a day out kind of thing. Like I know for guys, haircut is like sometimes I do. And a pro tip, to have a better week, always get your hair cut on Monday because without doubt, 100% of the time, when you get your hair cut, you always feel better. So if you're somebody who struggles with Mondays, and Mondays to you are always so dreadful because you hate your job and you hate your family, I'm just kidding. Sometimes Mondays are hard. But you can fix that if you really want to. If not, you don't have to. But if you're, I would highly recommend getting your haircut on a Monday because you feel so much better. And you can squeeze it in during lunch break or whenever. But just get your haircut done on Monday. It makes your week so much better. And I got it done on Monday. Before that, I was just feeling all over the place. And then afterwards, I felt like I had control. It was something about like looking at your hair and it's like, it looks good. You feel like you can just accomplish so much more. And then you go home and you shower. And then when you shower, you lay on your bed and you just read a book and you relax, naked or with a towel. Actually, with a towel, because if you're naked laying on your bed by yourself, it's very exposing, especially if you have the fan going on. Shit is strange. It just feels really weird. It feels like too much of a direct access. And I'm gonna go off that topic. Oh shit, that got weird. Yeah, so get your haircut done on Monday, but don't read the magazines. But if you do want to read a magazine, they have every fucking magazine that you could imagine there, dating back to 1996. I'm sitting here getting my haircut, trying to make conversation with this Italian man who barely knows English, and he's laughing at everything I'm saying. But what I'm saying is not funny. I'm like, hey, you guys have an ATM machine over there. I've never seen the ATM machine over there. And he's like, starts laughing, and I'm like, yeah, I usually go to Wawa get money because I don't have to pay there. Do you guys have like charge your? And this is a guy who I really like. He always gets my haircut, but I really like him, and we've never said a word to each other. And every time we leave, he's like, you're done. I'm like, okay. And the way he says it, he makes no indication that I had to pay. Doesn't walk to the cash register. Doesn't ask for money. Doesn't tell me how much it is. He says, you're done. See you next time. See you next time. That's probably Russian. That's probably not Italian at all. But he's like, you're done. See you next time. And I'm like, so I just give him $30. My haircut's $18. I just give him a $12 tip. And that's probably why he's progressively got better. Because he knows he gets $12 from me. But I've pinned myself into this point where since I tip so well, I can't start tipping like $7 because even though he's still getting a good tip, I think that's a good tip relative to haircut terms. I'm not too sure, but I think $12 is good, especially if it takes 20 minutes to do my haircut. That's $36 an hour. Comes out to, obviously he's not, cutting my hair for an hour, or he's not getting a $12 tip 3 times an hour. But anyways, I've pinned myself to the point now where I have to tip a certain amount, which is fine because he does a good job and it's worth it. And I get my haircut like every 3 to 4 weeks. I want to do every 2 weeks, but I do like the unveiling and like seeing it look really good. Like as my hair grows, almost like my personality grows. I'm sure you guys can relate to that, but like my personality tends to become a lot more, I don't know. Like when I get my haircut, I just feel better about myself. And I don't feel bad about myself. As my hair grows longer, the longer it is, the busier I've been. Just kind of funny how that correlation is there. But I almost feel like I never had to pay him. Anyways, I'm sitting there and I'm looking at all these magazines, and it's like car magazines, but like 8 different types. So it's like fitness magazines, like 12 different types, and everything says like save, or like the brand new Chevy, or how to increase your sex life, or how to build a peak bicep. And I'm looking at this barbershop, and I've been in there so many times, like 30, 40 times, and I've never once seen it super busy. Like there's always at least one. There's like usually 4 or 5 barbers in there. They all have one person, and there might be 1-2 people waiting in line, 3 of them max, but definitely not enough people ever to have hundreds and hundreds of magazines. Maybe not hundreds, but at least 100 dating back so long ago. And I'm thinking it's like a family barbershop. I'm like, overhead's not that high, but I feel like you could always increase your profit, or at least increase your the amount of money you're making. And I was like, what if you just kind of cancel some of the magazine relations that you have? Like, I think you got to pay for them. I'm sure you do. I'm like, what if you just cancel that out? What if you stop paying for, I don't know, instead of 8 different fitness magazines, you only pay for 2, or like instead of paying for like 9 different health magazines, you just pay for a few. And it's like, and there's so many girl ones there, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but the amount of girls that go there, I've never seen a girl in there getting a haircut. And I think it's men and women, but I think they market men, but I don't think they deny a woman. But I don't think a woman wants to get a haircut there because there's always guys there. So if you're a woman working there, you probably only work on guys' hair, so it's kind of a risky business. Unless you're a woman who gets your haircut really short. In that case, if you want a nice fade, go there. Get your haircut there. They probably do a really good job. He does a good job of my hair. He doesn't speak English, so don't expect to have a full conversation with him. I didn't have a full conversation with him. You could have a full conversation with him. He may not like me and just not want to have an English conversation with me. But I don't think that's true. I just think his English is not great. But then again, my Italian isn't great, so I can't judge the man at all. I can't speak his language. And I'm in his space, so that's my fault. But there's just so many magazines there, and nobody's ever reading them. Like, even if there was a wait list there, they would still look like there wasn't a dent made in the magazines. I just thought that was so crazy. I was just so, like, amazed. Because I don't ever read a magazine. I might save a magazine every once in a while. If I see a cool one at, like, work or something, I might read an article or so. But I don't get magazines. My grandfather came to my baseball game this past weekend. He used to give me magazines all the time. And I hate to say this, but I never read them. He always gave them to me as, like, a little gift. Like, my mom's mother used to give me strawberries. He would give me magazines. They would also give me, like, bonds for, like, my Christmas gifts and, like, my birthday gifts. And I had no idea what to do with those. Obviously, I'm such a young kid. I don't know what to do with a bond. I have no idea what that even means. But he came to my baseball game this past week, and within the past 2 years, my grandpa's been struggling with Alzheimer's, and I didn't know about it until, like, within the past 6 months where I spoke to my dad about it. And it's sad. It's really sad, and I was really excited for him to come to the game, and he came, and he didn't really. My father says he had a lot of fun. My girlfriend, who's usually very, very honest, he didn't really recognize me too much. Now, where he was sitting, he was, like, behind third base, and it was a stadium, and I was all the way in right field, so it's hard to see me. But he didn't really recognize me too much, and that was, like, a moment right there where I was like, damn it. Like, I regret this because I'm sad that he has Alzheimer's, but I was pissed off at myself because there's so many years where he could have came to my baseball games, and for some reason he didn't. It could have been on me, it could have been on him, but now he's here and he won't remember it. You know, he starts talking about, like, his job and stuff, and it was just another thing. Like, this past weekend that was hard, busy weekend, but just, like I said, an emotional roller coaster. That was part of it. I don't know if you guys have any grandparents out there, if you guys have parents out there. Alzheimer's is something that we don't have a solution to. We have ideas on how to regulate it, or at least decrease the chance of getting it. And I truly think it's just my theory, and I'm sure there's science to back it, but don't believe what I'm saying, that constantly learning and not learning the same thing, but, like, being super diverse, opening different patterns in your brain can help you resist certain neurological disorders. Also, our bodies are designed to die and be let go. And it's almost like, because it's so common, is it almost like a way to protect our bodies? Like, forget your memory, and then death is easier, right? I don't know. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it feels like. But to me, that could kind of make sense. Like, forget your memories. Then you can go away. Then you can die. And it won't make it as sad. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know if that's true, but I'm not too sure. I do know that I went to go get Chick-fil-A and I threw away. So in the state of Maryland, I think it's illegal to have styrofoam at a restaurant. And if you do have styrofoam, you have to prove to them that you're in the process of getting rid of styrofoam and getting a different form of material to sell your food, your drinks, whatever, your desserts, whatever it is at your restaurant to sell it. Guys, for the past 20 minutes, I've had to pee so bad, and I got to pee so bad, but I don't want to get up and try to edit that and mess that all up. But I do have to pee really bad, and I keep drinking this coffee like an idiot. But I only have like 10 more minutes, 7 more minutes max on this. 7 minutes, 10 more minutes max. And I don't want people to get mad at me with what I'm about to say, but recycling to me is one of those things. So being in school, it was like reuse, recycle, the 3 R's. I gotta look that up real quick because that will annoy me. I think it was like reuse, recycle. I can't find it. Reduce. That's what it was. So like, I remember recycling. I think it used to be when I was a kid, when I was younger, and I'm only 22. So when I was like 10 years old, so like 12 years ago, 10 years ago, 2009, 2007, 2009, I feel like the environment's been a more important thing longer than that. But that was like when we first got introduced to like recycling and what recycling was. And I still like now at the time I understood it better. I knew like what you could recycle and what you couldn't recycle. It was like plastic, styrofoam, cardboard. I think all that was like recyclable. Dude, I'm telling you nowadays, I don't even know. First off, the whole planet, if the stuff is not biodegradable, I understand you reuse it. I understand you can make certain things out of it, and that's why you recycle, to reuse it. But that shit ends up going in the earth somehow, some way. It ends up in the earth. It doesn't keep on being used for humans. It's going to eventually all end up on the earth, and I think the earth is going to be fine. It might hit an ice age, or the climate will go out of whack, but before the earth ends, the earth will kill us humans. But I just remember, dude, recycling seems so much easier, but it's such a challenge now. I don't even know. Like, styrofoam, I don't think can be recycled, but you can put it in the recycling can. But I think at the place they separate it. Plastic straws used to be able to be recycled, and then a turtle went viral of having a straw stuck in its nose. And literally within like a week, you can't recycle straws anymore, which is like, I understand that. I get it. But, dude, when I go to a coffee shop and they give me a noodle to mix my drink with, literally a long pasta noodle, and then it bends in the hot drink, and it's all, like, floppy everywhere, like, I'm kind of frustrated. Or when, like, the straw they give me is, like, paper, and I'm like, it starts, like, falling apart in my mouth, and, like, the little cardboard or paper, like, strings start getting caught in my mouth. I'm like, fuck, man. Jesus Christ. Like, how far is this recycling thing going to go? And where do you put it? And now they have like these little containers, and this is in Maryland. I couldn't even imagine how it is like in California, where you cut the top and you have to put like plastic bags on there. Like so I don't even know like what gets recycled anymore. And I know everything has to be cleaned out before you recycle it. But the more I think about it, I'm like, okay, it's good they recycle. I like the earth too. I think we should save the earth. I think the earth is an important thing. We'll save the earth. We're killing the earth, but the earth isn't going to blow up because the straws end up somewhere. You know, it's going to kill a lot of things, and that's wrong. I'm not saying I disagree with that, but like the earth itself is going to keep going on with or without human beings. But it is an issue, and the environment is an issue. Climate control, the climate increasing heat is a real thing, at least as far as I know. I'm not a scientist, but what I see, what I read, not just news lines or headlines, but like research shows that the world is getting hotter. But that rant is basically to say, like, the United States may be recycling, but I swear to God, the rest of the world, if like things are hard, I don't think they're sitting there like, maybe I should put the straw in here and the plastic bag in there because, the world needs to be saying, no, it's like, I need fucking food. I need to eat or I'm going to sleep tonight. It's like one of those things that you put so much work into, which I respect so much, but it's like, how much work can you actually put in? I don't know. I don't know what to recycle. And I generally, if I knew exactly what to recycle, I would. It's not like I'm will throw plastic or throw styrofoam into a trash can. I will recycle if recycling is available. I won't go out of my way to fix it, but I will recycle if it is available. I don't know where that came from, but it was just so interesting to me. Like, it's one of those things that's just blown up over the past, I feel like over the past year. But it's so crazy that we live in a world nowadays that literally a video of a turtle can completely take the world by storm. Like if you saw the video, I've seen the video. We've all seen the video where it's like this guy's trying to clip a straw out of a turtle's mouth, and it's gruesome to watch. But that video took off and went viral, and everybody in the world saw it. And now you can't recycle plastic straws. I don't know. But I do know this episode is over. I'm going to go ahead and end it with that. And I know we covered so many topics. I like my new brain penny bank right here. Take my light swig of coffee. I got to pee so bad. So bad. I'm recording this video on July 31st. You guys are watching this sometime early August, probably August 2nd or August 3rd. Happy August. If you're getting ready to go back to school, enjoy school. Take advantage of it. Especially if you're just out of high school, take advantage of this 4 years. This is the only 4 years of the rest of your life where society, literally, you can be an alcoholic. You can party as much as you want. You don't need to have a job. You don't need to do anything besides sit there, party, and sometimes learn. Take advantage of it. Have fun. Be safe if you're going back to college. If you're going back to work, have fun. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of the people around you. Taking care of people around you is going to make you feel so much fulfilled. It's going to make you feel like you're doing a lot for people. Guys, thank you so much for supporting the podcast. If you guys want to check out any of the clothing, silencefitness.com. My Instagram handles are silencefit. Silencefit on Instagram, silencefitness.com is my website. Mike R Labs, MikeRLabs is my personal handle. Twitter is going to be Mike R Lobes, MikeRLobs. You can also check me out on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, any major platform for a podcast. I don't think Google Play yet, but I'm pretty sure. But if you guys are watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends about it. I'm going to go ahead and end this video, guys, right here. Have a great day. Thank you for watching this podcast. Listen to the podcast on your podcast platform. Have a great one.